Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening to you all. Good morning for some, I suppose, and good afternoon. I love this part of internet that we can actually reach to people from around the world. And today we're reaching to also all the people that may face limitations, being physical limitations, health limitations, mental limitations, don't we all? And we will talk about how limitations are our decision and how are they also an illusion. And that's thanks to Winston Clements, who is our guest, and he will be joining us later on live on Skype.
I think that the interview with Winston was for me. Well, I can talk for myself, but I'm sure for you as well. It's really sort of I don't want to say inspiring, but it really makes you think like limitations, like it's like nothing really. We shouldn't even use this word like limitation because it's just it's sort of not that difficult. It's really easy to get rid of a limitation and just steps by steps and accepting whatever we have given and whatever we do and perhaps we look, it's okay. It's the right thing. So it will be I will make more sense maybe when we actually be starting watching the show. So because you will see what I mean shortly.
For everyone who's joining us today, we are once more live on a few platforms. So you may be watching us right now on YouTube, Inner Fire Time TV, or you may be watching us on Facebook, which is Inner Fire Global, a Facebook page, and also on Periscope. So wherever you are, what I want to ask you is let us know that you are with us, because this is all about engagement. The reason we're streaming live is so that you can ask questions to our guest. You can ask questions to us. You can comment, write in the comment box, and we will address all the comments, all the questions, and we will make sure that we say hello and we connect with you as long as we know who you are. So give us thumbs up or hearts, write questions, and if you're watching this on the replay, many people do, then also subscribe to our channel, like us on Facebook, send us a comment, send us a message if you want, click like if you like the program, of course, and just let us know that you're here. So
if you know someone who might also like the show and then maybe their stories are related to stories of people who actually stories we're sharing, then share and post and let them know. So we would like to hear as well from you. So as you know, we like to connect to everyone and all the people, and well, at least I do love and Alex as well. Yeah, so.
From my point of view, this today, like Jana was already mentioning earlier, we talk about limitations, and our guest was born with a condition that limits him physically, his body, from maybe many things that people can do, like running or jumping, and physical activities like that. But it's no means limited in terms of his thinking. Well, not more than any other person watching this probably or in the world. And it's an interesting concept for me, the limitations being our decision, because more I pay attention to what is not working in my life, to the frustrations and problems I have, the more I realize that it's because I believe I'm limited in one way or another. I'm limited to go somewhere. I'm limited with my skills, so I think. So therefore, I'm not very good at, for example, doing sales. So I think because I'm limited, or I cannot run very fast because I'm limited. I wasn't born a fast runner. But this is all in our head. It really is,
because we can do it. It's just to take this step. Okay, why am I limited? What should I do to actually don't be limited? So then thinking out of box, and then the steps, like if you think you need some knowledge on some topic, then okay, maybe you need to read more, or if you cannot run, like you said, quick enough, just maybe do it slowly every day, quicker, and then at some point you will see, okay, I can do it even that.
But this is the thing. When you think that you can't, you will not make any progress, because you will not go for a run. You will sabotage yourself, and when you go and train and you think, oh, I cannot run, but I'll do it anyway, you probably will not be a fast runner. It's the psychology of you. That's why athletes have psychologists, sports psychologists that work on
That's
demand.
right. From the small things, we should try, rather than say, okay, I cannot, just try to do it, and then we will change the limitation way of thinking.
So it's a very, very, very interesting concept. We would like to invite you now to watch our talk with Winston that we have recorded for you. So we've met Winston in London a few weeks ago, and we talked about his story and his inner fire and what it means for him, and how he's now using his own life example to motivate other people to make a shift in the minds of everyone around him and everyone he can reach to through media like internet and through programs like Inner Fire Time. So let's see that, and
then after,
when us watching you have any questions, make sure you post those questions in the comment box, and Winston will be joining us live on Skype.
So make sure you comment, because we will, after the short video, which we will stream now, recorded before, we will be back with Winston live. So then this is a time where you can ask questions and comment, but you can do it now as well. So we'll see, we'll read everything, and we notice everyone. So let's play and enjoy.
Hello, welcome back to our Inner Fire Time show. We're here today with a very, very special guest, but before I mention who it is, we just wanted to say we're in this beautiful gallery in the European School of Economics in the middle of heart of London. So me, myself and Alexandra, we having again very, very special guest because
we're bringing to you stories of people whose life changed the moment they turned the inner fire on. And today we have a privilege, and very happy to say that, talk to Winston. Winston is, well, first of all, thank you for joining us and welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Our show. You are a remarkable person because you overcame a lot of physical challenges that you were born with, that probably followed with some emotional and mental challenges because of how the society was judging you based on what your body looks like and what you can or cannot do. But yet you are so inspiring and motivational person, believing that you are the creator of the life that you want to live. And although you different looking than most of us, you probably mentally one of the strongest people that I came across in a long time. And I love how you use your life and your story now to share the message with others who maybe in similar situation are not even close to limitations that you have, but yet in life feeling that they cannot do things because of this, because of that. So I'm very happy that you're here and that we can share your story, and hopefully this will become an inspiration and encouraging others to waken up to the idea of the possibilities that come from within when you set your mind on I can.
Yes, I can, exactly.
So tell us what it was like for you. Obviously you were born with some limitations, and how does it, how do you remember your life to be, and when did you make that shift as well?
Yeah, so the funny thing for me is, I was born with this condition, so people say, you know, how was it growing up with, you know, this disability? Was it really hard? Did you have lots of challenges and stuff like that? And I did, because obviously there were things which other people can do, which I cannot do so easily. But overall as well, because I've always been this way, you know, it's not like I was born with a perfect body and then I had an accident and now I have a disability. I've always had a disability from day one. So for me, I've always been a person who's been ready to adapt to new situations, you know, to be creative, because I know, you know, for example, there's things that you can do and you can do which I have to do differently. And I guess in terms of challenges, one of the first ones that I can remember was the challenge of actually fitting in at school. And I don't know if you've got kids or children or nephews or nieces, but kids can be quite cruel sometimes, yeah, especially at a young age. And I don't think they mean to be cruel, but it's like they see somebody who's different and they're like,
they just pick on that person, like to find someone.
Yeah. Or they're just, in my case, they were afraid to approach me because they didn't really know, should we talk to him? Can he talk? Can he play with us? And so I felt a bit of isolation to begin with. And it took time for me to sort of pluck up the courage to approach them, because they were not coming to me, so I had to go to them. And one thing that I talk about a few times is I remember going home after that first day of school and saying to my parents, I don't want to go back to school tomorrow because, you know, all the other kids, they're making friends with each other, but, you know, I don't have any friends and stuff like this. So it was a really, I guess, emotional time for me.
Did you go to a normal school, like not a special school for disabled people?
Yeah, correct.
So that's good.
Okay. Yeah, so in my whole classroom, I was the only one who was different. All the other kids were, I guess you could say, able-bodied, normal. And for me, my parents, they really helped me because they reframed the situation. So they said, you know, don't worry about, you know, your disability. We know you're disabled, so you don't need to be self-conscious about that. You just need to focus on being the same Winston in school that you are at home, you know, and just show your personality, make people laugh like normal, and just be yourself. And, you know, funnily enough, when I was able to do that and relax, you know, the other kids were like, oh, you know, he looks different, but he's just, you know, he just makes people laugh, he just behaves like the rest of us. And so we no longer had this awkwardness or barrier of, should I approach him, should I not? I'll just relax, became myself, and it was easy after that.
I think it was really fortunate for your parents how they made that shift in your head also, like, okay, you actually to behave like, I would say normal, and now we think what's normal.
Yeah, this word normal, don't really like it either.
Exactly,
but
me too.
Standard, you know. For the majority.
Like normal, it's just the majority of, right? So that's, I think that's very powerful, the way they put the seed in your head, right? Okay, just do it the way like everyone does it. So
and I think it's a good lesson because we all have situations where we feel like we stand out or we feel like we're different. It might be because you come from a different country or you have a poor background or, you know, many things. And you go into this environment where it seems like you're the odd one out. And I think in the same way that I was able to just relax and be myself, and because it starts with accepting yourself first. You can't expect other people to accept you if you can't accept yourself. So when you relax and just be the best version of yourself, I find life becomes a lot easier.
Is it also the case when you know, you grow up, you enter the adulthood, and here we have, you know, in the Western world, people usually have a certain sort of like a schedule, if you like, or plan for life. You go to good school, then you get a good job, then you make a career, then you usually it's like, you know, you settle down, you buy a house or whatever that is. And did you, when you entered that stage of your life, did you find it like all being very different and difficult for you, or not?
Again, I wouldn't say it was more difficult for me than the next person. I would say that I think what really helped me, and this is kind of going back to childhood, I've always had really good people around me. So whether it's my parents, family members, friends, coaches, mentors later on. And so I've always had these people pushing me and having really high expectations of me. So in my mind, I never, well, shouldn't say never, but I never, there's not many times when I sat back and I thought, oh, you know, my life is going to be hard, or, you know, I'm going to struggle to get a job, or I'm going to struggle to do A, B, and C. Because I had all of these people telling me, you have to go to uni, you have to get a good job, you have to be successful. And so in my mind, it's like I was already programmed, and I knew that I was going to achieve some big things. And I guess for anybody listening, you know, sometimes we need to borrow the strength of other people, especially when, you know, because we all have bad days. You wake up and you're like, oh, I'm trying to go to work today, or I'm just not in the mood, or I'm depressed, stressed, whatever. Those are the days when we need those mentors, those people in your life to pick you up and drag you across if they have to, just so that you don't have to suffer. Yeah.
For many people, I think this kind of expectations, you know, you have to go to university, you have to be successful, you have to do well. It's a case of many people, because we hear that from our parents. They obviously want us to be the best. Yeah. I suppose not all the parents find the right way to encourage you and to really believe in yourself. Yeah. But yet there is that pressure, and I actually hear that a lot from young people, like teenagers these days, that they have a lot of pressure and expectations, because apparently so many opportunities right now, but in the same time they don't feel like themselves, or they feel lost.
Yeah. They don't feel like appreciated as well.
So that's a lot of time a problem for people. It's like, okay, I know I can, but yet I'm not really the best. Yeah. You know, like people beating themselves up.
Yeah.
Did you have that as well? Did you feel like, I'm sure many times you felt like you're different than the rest, because there are some things that you cannot do, right? Because you, how did you cope with this kind of feeling when you felt like, I can't really be the best I wanted to, or I can't really do things that maybe some other people do?
Yeah. And, you know, I had bad days just the same as you, Alexandra, and you, Joanne, and I guess everybody who's watching. You know, we all have these bad days. I think for me, actually, when I think back, actually, sometimes you learn more about yourself on the bad days than you do on the good days. And, you know, like even going back to the school example, or even going back to situations where, a good example was when I was in a relationship with somebody, and this was quite a serious relationship, and we're together for a long time. And then the relationship ended quite suddenly, and in quite a complicated way. And in that time, I remember I had these feelings of, oh, why me, and all of these things, which we all have when things go wrong. We have that moment of, oh, you feel sorry for yourself or whatever, and you kind of play the victim if you're truly honest.
Sometimes we think like, what have I done wrong?
Yeah,
maybe it's not just you, it's the other person, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They have to work on themselves.
Yeah, you think life is so unfair. I was the good one, she was mean to me, but I'm the one who's suffering, or, you know, something like that. And actually, what I learned from that time was, because it was such a dark time for me, I think what came out of it was, first of all, you just need to allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you need to feel. There's no point in pretending that you're okay if you're not. I think there's certain emotions that you just need to let flow through you, and come out the other side. Of course, you don't need to cry about your situation for 6 months or a year, because that's probably playing victim too much. So for anybody watching, you can literally set yourself a deadline and say, I'm going to feel bad about this for 2 days. That's it. After 2 days, I'm going to get up and I'm going to refocus myself. And And for me, what this actually forced me to do was take a look at other areas of my life, so not just relationships. I looked at my career, I looked at my health, many other things, and I realized actually I'm not really paying much attention to my whole life on a holistic level. And so, funnily enough, this is when I decided to change my career and, you know, start moving away from corporate work because I have this background in IT, corporate, and I decided to look to do something more fulfilling, which is how I ended up in speaking, becoming a motivational speaker, and, you know, speaking to audiences. And, you know, without that, then I don't think we would have met, because I think that's how we came across each other, through my speaking and through my videos on Facebook. So I guess the point is, sometimes in the darkest moments, sometimes that's when you discover yourself. So always look for the opportunity in the obstacle.
Yeah, have you always had in you this inner drive, the inner fire that you felt that was with you throughout your life, or since you were very young?
Yeah.
Or has there been a particle shift in you, other than changing a career, which the broken relationship triggered? So that's already a shift. But do you remember something in your life that shifted the way you felt about yourself, or the way you lived, or was it always in you there?
And actually, this is a good question, because one of the things that I talk about is resilience. And a common question that I get asked is, you know, were you born resilient, or did you develop it? Which is basically what you're asking. Because some people believe that, you know, some people are born stronger than others. So they'll say, oh yeah, Winston is really strong. Alexandra, she's not strong. But I honestly do not believe that's the case. I believe we can all build up that resilience. And a lot of the time, you don't actually know what you can handle because you haven't been tested in that way. You know, people say, oh yeah, Winston, you dealt with your physical stuff really well. But I've got nothing, they can't compare themselves to me, because they've never had to deal with the same challenge. Maybe if they had a physical condition, they would deal with it much better than I did. So I guess with resilience, I believe there's different techniques you can use to actually improve your resilience.
Would you share?
I would share, yeah, happy to share.
What works for you?
Yeah. I'll share my top 3.
Okay.
So number 1 is don't take things personally. So a lot of the time when things go wrong, you know, relationship, business, you know, you're not making money, or, you know, your finances, whatever. When things go wrong, people take it personally. And, you know, I've done that too. Just like I said, when my relationship ended, I was thinking, why me? I'm a nice guy. Why is it happening to me? Because if you take things personally, then you're actually saying, you know, it's not my fault, it's somebody else's fault. So I'm just going to sit here and feel sorry for myself. I'm not going to do anything about it. But in order to build resilience, you actually have to take ownership of all situations, whether they're your fault or not. Okay, fine, the relationship has ended. Are you going to cry about it for 6 months? Or are you going to, at some point, draw a line and start thinking of ways to make your life better? So that's number 1, don't take things personally. Number 2, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So learn to step out of your comfort zone, because a lot of people say they want to change their lives, they want to do different things, but they keep repeating the same mistakes.
It's like all the same sort of circle we
Because it's a comfort zone.
Comfort zone,
you say you want to learn some new skills and you want to be better, but every night you're spending 4 or 5 hours watching TV.
So I have to ask, like, do I really want, or is it sort of pressure from other people, like, oh, you should do this, you should that, and I think this is the...
Exactly. I think that's really powerful. And then the third one is to have like a strong mission or a purpose. So like I said before, you know, when I was in the corporate world, I was, you know, in a good job, making decent money, and actually I had a bunch of people say to me, why are you thinking of leaving corporate? You know, you're in such a comfortable situation, right? But I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I wasn't feeling like I was making much of a difference in the world. So it's only when I came across speaking and I started seeing the impact that I could have on people, you know, for me to just go and tell my story and, you know, for people to say, wow, if Winston can get up there and do all of this, then what's my excuse? Yeah. To be able to shift mindsets in that way, for me, is so powerful that it's given me such a strong mission or purpose. So, you know, for you guys and for anybody watching, you know, have that strong mission or purpose, because that's actually what's going to allow you, even on that cold, rainy day when you don't want to get out of bed, you'll be thinking, you know, it's not just a job, it's actually my mission. It's my purpose.
It's so very true what you said, because every time we talk to people we meet, and especially in the Inner Fire Time show, and people who go through some, especially when they go through some serious challenges, health-wise or emotion-wise, or big, or finances, you know, like big depression type of time in their life. A lot of times they then, because they go through such a strong transformation as a person, they actually use this to then change things, like to find that mission, that purpose. And a lot of times they do switch, and they suddenly feel like, I want to now help others. I want to be more useful to the world, to people, and in a sense become more of a human, not like a machine doing, you know, money, job, career. Very, very interesting. So there's something about this. I wanted to ask you, you know, what would be your advice to, I know you're not in a situation like that, but you are disabled in a wheelchair. There are people out there who had an accident or something happened, and suddenly their life changed drastically because they ended up being in a wheelchair.
Yep.
And I think this is I can imagine this being very, very traumatic change. And you must be coming across those people as well. What would you say to them, how to deal with such change? Such a drama.
Yeah. I mean, for me, you know, whatever happens to you, whether it's a physical accident or relationship breakup or your business goes bankrupt, you know, for me, obviously some things, I don't know if you can say some problems are bigger than others, but for me, a problem is a problem, and, you know, we get to, you experience a problem, but you get to choose how you respond, always. So, you know, for me, like I said, I was born with this disability, so I haven't known any different. But if I was to come across somebody who, and actually I did recently come across a guy who, I think it was through an accident, he lost his leg, and now he's in a wheelchair. And I guess that would be like, I guess, his darkest moment, right? And so for me, I would say in my darkest moments, like I touched on earlier, that's when you have to look at what potential opportunity could be coming out of this dark moment. Because a lot of the time, people just think of the negative. I'm not going to be able to walk again, or, you know, I've lost so much money, I've lost, you know, my wife or my husband. But maybe after you've had your time to grieve and get it out of your system, which I think is important, you need to start asking yourself questions like, so what opportunities does this present which I didn't have earlier? Yeah. So with this particular guy that I'm thinking of, I met him at a conference, and he actually told me he was looking to become a speaker now for other people who have lost limbs or who've gone from being able-bodied, because he was into sports and like he was a really fit, healthy guy, and now all of a sudden he has this physical handicap. So he's going to become a speaker and a motivator and use his story to change lives. You know, now I'm not saying everybody needs to become a speaker, but you need to look at your opportunity. You know, whether if it's a business failure, for example, then, you know, maybe this is a blessing in disguise. Maybe that business wasn't the thing that you're called to do. Maybe there's something which is more aligned with who you are.
Probably that's what it is.
Exactly.
So we think, okay, this is what I want, and that doesn't work. Although, if you 100%, you can make it happen. I mean, everything, right? So you can make it successful. But I think, yes, it's just following that.
Yeah, it just gives you an opportunity to consider whether you're still doing the right thing. Or you might be doing the right thing, but you might need to take a step back and do it in a different way to make it work. So yeah, just look for the seed of opportunity.
Circumstances, though, they don't define who we are. They more reveal who we are, don't they? It's like it's I think especially when bad things happen, this is maybe the time to really go inside you and think about it and do like an honest analysis of who you are and find the fire in you.
Analyzing who you are, not like why did it happen to you, or like why is it like things like happen to you. And it's just more like what's next and what's how I am before, how I was before, how I am now, and how I can be in a from now on, right?
So you do talks now, right? Is that mainly because you still have your corporate career, but you mainly focus on talks where people can hear you? Actually, where do you do your?
Yeah. So probably the best place to check me out is my website. So I try to post as much information where I'm going to be speaking and stuff like that. But I do a mix of corporate work. And I also do different like personal development events. So you know, for anybody watching, if you're in London, then I do a lot of stuff in London. So just keep an eye on my website, which is winstonclements.com, and just check out my Facebook. I'm always posting different things that I'm working on.
Great. Absolutely, we will do that. So thank you for this chat. You'll join us for
live
Q&A
chat
live.
after, yes.
So I think we can talk more, and when people have questions, we will definitely address all of them to Winston. So thank you for watching this right now, and we will join you live.
We'll join you live shortly after with Winston, so he can answer more questions.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you for having me.
And we're back with questions, I hope so. First of all, just want to say hello to all of you who I know have joined because you said so. So Winston obviously is with us, so hello Winston. Fraser, hi Fraser, hello Jadwiga. And there was someone else, I think, but I don't see this name now, but that's different platforms, getting confused. So hello to everyone who's watching this
and
live.
Thank you for sending all the likes and hearts, and so we know you're there, you're here.
Absolutely, keep them coming. But also, this is the part of the show where it's your turn to get engaged and ask any questions you may have to our guests or to us if you wish. And or make any comments about in relation to Winston's story, what he does now, the motivational talks he does, and everything that you believe is important to say or to clarify when it comes to limitations, being physical health or maybe mental health limitations. In just a few moments, we will have Winston joining us live on Skype.
Yes, but before that, we would like to play some short music, live music. We actually recorded in the gallery from Sonia I. So some of you probably know her because we had actually some recording before on our live events in London. So for those who don't, let's play and enjoy.
Take my chance and wait for another ride, 'cause this life's just an up and working out. Yeah, gonna make a fast decision, gonna make it pretty soon. I don't wanna be here forever, cause I'm already there. Just waiting for the answers to come to me, and hiding away for security. So I'm gonna make my way to the other side, take my chance and wait for another ride, cause this life's just enough and working out right. There's a way through all of the uncertainty, and I don't know if it will ever come to me, and I don't know if I will ever be ready to leave. This seems like the only road available to me. I don't know if I'll ever get out, cause it's all up to me. The pressure's just too high for me to succeed. I know on the other side it's waiting for me. Yeah, and there's a way, and there's a place that I come. There's a way, anticipate where I belong. There's a way, and there's a place that I come. There's a way, and there's a place where I come from. Even though it seems like the only road available to me. I don't know if I'll ever get out, cause it's all up to me. The pressure's just too high for me to succeed. But I know on the other side it's waiting for me. Yes, I know on the other side it's waiting for me. Yes, I know on the other side it's waiting for me. Yes, I know on the other side it's waiting for me.
Well, I hope you enjoyed Sonia's performance, and she will be back after as well with another song. So in a second, we will connect with Winston.
For all of you who are watching us live now, it's a time to ask any questions you may have or comments. If you're watching this on this video on a replay, you can still ask questions and put them in the comment box, and we will get back. We'll get the answers for you pretty much. So not a problem. But let us know who you are. So by sending thumbs ups or comments or hearts, all of that we like. And this is the way for us to know who is with us. And of course, subscribe to our channel, like us on Facebook if you're watching this on Facebook. Connect with us in a way.
Sure. Talking about connection, let's connect with Insta. So Alex, let you do that, and then there you go. We can see Insta.
Let me just split the screen because
we are there.
Okay, I can't split it, so I have to. But you're on the screen now. People can see you. Hello, Winston. Winston, not Wilson. I have a friend whose name is Wilson, and I keep saying Wilson. Winston, apologize for this. Welcome back to Inner Fire Time. It has been a pleasure to be with you in the recording session, and it's even bigger pleasure to have you back. So I hope you liked the video, because I know you didn't watch it before.
So you didn't watch it, but now we know you were watching while we were playing for that 25 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed it. and
enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, we did that interview a few weeks ago, so it's nice to watch it back, and of course to reconnect with you both again.
Amazing. Oh, now we can see all of us.
I think I'm gonna kickstart this questions and answers because there's many things that you said which are very inspiring and motivational indeed. But there's one I really liked when you said you can't expect people to accept you if you don't accept or if you can't accept yourself.
Yeah.
Do you feel now that you are on that level of self-acceptance, like total self-acceptance, even when, things go darker, you still know that, no, I accept myself for who I am. Are you in this place now? You're nodding.
I think it's one of those things. It's one of those things where it's, I think Tony Robbins says, when you're working on yourself, it's almost like personal development. It's like taking a shower, right? So just because I take a shower today, yeah, I'm going to be clean for today, but it doesn't mean that's the last shower I'm ever going to take. It's something that you keep working on all the time. And with self-acceptance, for me, that comes from your self-talk. So the things that you say to yourself, your internal dialogue, I think that plays a big part in your self-acceptance. And I think one of the things that I even touched on in the interview, one of the things that helped me overcome and get control of my self-acceptance was to surround myself with some really good people. In my case, when I was younger, it was my parents. Later on, it was, friends and coaches. And I think, like I touched on, those people allow you to borrow their strength on those days when, maybe your levels have dropped a bit. Maybe you started feeling a little bit sorry for yourself. So in some ways, surrounding yourself with the right people and continuing to learn and continuing to being aware that this is something that you need to work on all the time. It's so important. And just like Tony Robbins says, it's like taking a shower every day. Keep taking your showers.
Because I think it's also, yes, I agree, like surrounding with the right people, but also some people maybe don't have that support with family and friends, and they feel completely lost, like, oh, where am I supposed to go? So I think reaching out to even strangers, or even like watching our show, for example, or just any sort of information up over there, or just talking to strangers. I mean, maybe perhaps that will help, because some people, obviously, they're more fortunate to have amazing families, some less, supporting or not. So yes, I think this is also just to listen and go to groups, or perhaps, no, don't you think?
Yeah. And like you say, not everybody has, the family or, the network around them, which is supportive or positive. And this is why I talk a lot about networking. So if you haven't got those people directly available to you, go and find them. You're not a tree. You can move. So put yourself in situations where, you are connecting with more people who are positively engaging you in the right way. Because what's the alternative, right? The alternative is that you stay at home or you stay in the same space, believing the same negativity that has brought you to this dark space that you're in now. So try something different. Go out there, put yourself in a new environment and see what that does for you.
Just want to say quickly hello to Zar, who has joined us on Facebook. So hello. And continue talking. You recently, you are on a mission. You said that you feel that your calling now is to be a motivational speaker, so that you can contribute to the shift of the world and in people's minds. So what is how would you like this shift to look like?
Yeah, that's a big question. And actually, one of the things that I talk about a lot is, and I feel this is so important to knowing your mission and to knowing your purpose in life, is to set yourself a big goal or a big mission, right? Because a lot of the time we set goals which are very materialistic. So I want to have the big house. I want to have, the nice car. I want to go on, 5 holidays a year. And you realize when many people, when they're able to get to that level where they can do all of those things, they realize that actually there's still something missing. And what they realize is, because they've made their mission all about themselves, all about the things that they can have, you get to the top of the tree and you're still feeling unfulfilled. So like I mentioned, I had a really good career in corporate, and I still have a lot of connections within the corporate world. But still, I was feeling like there was something missing for me. And so that's why I came up with this mission, which is, not just, me going on stage and telling stories and enjoying myself, but I'm actually hoping to make a difference to somebody. I got a message today from someone on Instagram who said, just seeing my posts every day, because I post a lot on Instagram and on Facebook, but just seeing my posts every day is something that she looks forward to and something that helps her to improve herself. And so even just getting that one piece of feedback, for me, it just makes it all worth it. And so if I can leave a legacy where I've inspired many people, or even a few people, to be honest, then for me, that's more powerful than any sort of materialistic or, any amount of money I could have in the bank account.
Because you post lots of these amazing, inspiring quotes as well, which are yours. So that's great. So not just what you do, but also all those messages. And I think many people can be related, not just maybe with a physical disability, but also, like you mentioned before, any sort of mental problems, anything like that. So yes, which is great.
Anyone watching us live, it's your chance to ask questions. If you have a question on your mind, and please type it in the comment box, and we will ask live. Or it's the engagement part. So let's get engaged. There's so many things I could ask you actually, but.
Go on.
Go on, and we'll have a whole night. Let's do that. Let's do that. It's these limitations, and you did talk at TEDx, which was really good talk. I watched this, so well done with that. And the title, if I remember correctly, was that your limitations are an illusion, something like that.
Right. Yeah.
So my question for you would be, what do you do to eliminate this illusion, to make them to make the limitations disappear, make them unreal? What is because obviously you are. Well, this is interesting that it's coming from you specifically, because you do have limitations. Your body physically have some limitations. But then I suppose, like you also mentioned, the aspect of finding your purpose, and maybe, running fast and walking fast is not what you were born to do. So it's not necessarily limited, I suppose. But what do you mean by that it's an illusion? And what do you do with this illusion to feel limitless?
Yeah, it's a great question, Alexandra. And, one of the things that I like to emphasize as well is, of course I have a physical limitation, and my limitation is perhaps obvious, right? Because everybody can look at me and they can see, there is something different about this guy. But what I do say as well is that, just because I have a physical limitation, I don't think I've had like a really tough life, or I don't think like my life is much harder than everybody else in this world, right? I know there are people with real problems, because to be honest, other than
all real, every problem is real, isn't it? For
exactly.
An individual.
Exactly. So for each individual, their problem is their biggest thing in the world, right? Just because mine is physical and yours is financial and yours is relationship. It doesn't make it any different. But because I have this unique look, I guess, because people can see my story even before I tell it, then I feel like I'm almost in a unique position where people are almost more willing, or they take me more credibly, because they can look at me and say, oh, okay, yeah, he looks like he's been through some stuff, so he's probably the right person to talk about resilience, talk about limitations. And so I'm just trying to use that extra credibility or extra platform that I have just to tell the same story, because a lot of the stuff that I talk about, I don't think it's rocket science. I don't think it's things that people have never heard of. But I think within the personal development area, when you're working on yourself, it's not just about knowing it, it's about having reminders, and then also about applying what you hear. So I want to be that person to come in and shake up the room and remind people and wake a few people up, because there's a few people who are perhaps coasting through life or taking it easy, but it's not until when they get a perspective of somebody who looks like me that they're like, oh yeah, I remember what the little guy in the wheelchair said, and now I'm going to make a change. So I just want to be that guy who comes in and helps them to wake up.
You suddenly, this is very beautiful what you said, because it can be motivational for many people who are in one way or the other disabled. And instead of feeling depressed about it, they may actually feel like, okay, now I have more attention from people to get a message across to others, because that's what it is. You're right. People look at you and they think, oh, okay, well, if he can have a successful life, perhaps, for example, successful corporate career, for instance, then what's my excuse? You can think this way. So that's quite powerful. I also have a question. Just wanted to know your opinion about the aspect of uniqueness, as you mentioned, as an individual versus trying to fit in. Because, well, first of all, have you ever tried to fit in any way?
Yeah, I mean, I probably still do on some occasions, even today. It's one of those things, it's human nature, right? You walk into a new environment, whether, for people watching, that could be a school environment, it could be a work environment, right? You go into a new job, a new office, and all of a sudden you find yourself trying to talk like them, trying to hang out in the same places where they hang out, because we all want to belong. We all want to feel like we're part of something. And so, it's human nature to do that. But the reason why I talk about, self-acceptance and not changing yourself too much is because when you try to become something else or somebody else, it takes away your most, your biggest gift, which I believe is your uniqueness as an individual. So nobody else can be Winston, nobody else can be Alexandra, nobody else can be Joanna. So, only the three of us can be those people. So why try to be somebody else when you can actually focus and double down on being this amazing, unique person who brings a completely different perspective and different ideas to this world?
Absolutely. And this is very connected with self-acceptance. As you were talking about, nobody else can be Winston or Alexandra, nobody else can be Joanna, etc. When you think about it, as long as we have this self-acceptance pretty strong, then we won't have this need to walk like others or to talk like others or to behave.
We will be
like
more
others.
like already feeling unique and right.
Or just be yourself, because
Exactly.
you won't think like there's nothing wrong with me. Why would I pretend to be someone else? So,
Yeah, and it's easier, right? It's much easier to be yourself than to try and be somebody else. So this is applicable in many areas. This is applicable in business. It's applicable in relationships. I'm sure maybe you've had experience or of people who they get ready for a first date and they go on the first date, and the first date is a very funny type of engagement, because nobody's really being themselves. Usually people are trying to show their best side. People are wearing the best clothes, the best makeup, and you're trying to give the best impression. And it's not until you've been in a relationship with that person for maybe a few weeks or a few months, that's when you start to see the true colors and you start knowing, who they really are. But why not be that real version of yourself to begin with? And then there are no surprises. Everybody's much more relaxed and you're happier because, you get to be you and get to thrive at the things which only you can thrive at, because they are your gifts and nobody else's.
Exactly. I just wanted to ask you, when you talk on different shows, programs, seminars, do you get many questions, the same questions from people? And what is it? Is there any kind of one or two outstanding questions, the same ones people ask you? perhaps?
Yeah, interesting. I get a lot of questions. So whenever I speak, the Q&A portion of my talk is always really interesting because people have all these random interesting questions, and I think people are very they find it easy to approach me because I'm quite a relaxed person, and so I will answer any question. So I've had I remember I did one Q&A recently where I talked a bit about disability and about growing up with disabilities and what I learned from that. And then at the end, I opened it up to a Q&A where I encouraged the audience to maybe ask those questions which normally they'd be embarrassed or shy to ask a disabled person. So I had questions like, how do you shower? How does it work in the bedroom? And it was just really funny and entertaining for me. But I'm open to answering those questions because for me, it's things that we all do. We all shower, we all, have relationships with other people. And just because I do it in a different way to the way you do it, it doesn't make it, a big issue for me. So yeah, I'm always getting very, very interesting. And
I've asked this, I wanted to find out because I was wondering if this is more question about, yes, like your physical or everyday sort of life, or it's much more deeper, like more on mental level. How do you deal? How you do it? So it is quite everyday questions.
It's completely mixed. Some people want to know about my everyday because they look at me and they think, wow, he drives a car, he lives by himself, which means he probably cooks for himself and he takes care of himself. So they want to know some people's minds are very practical. They want to know the day to day. And for other people, they want to know, on the mental side, how I was able to overcome challenges, and how I was able to reframe, those days when, maybe other people would have felt sorry for themselves.
Absolutely. So to wrap up, one final question I have for you is, it's asking for an advice actually. If you were to give advice specifically to people that are disabled in a way that is visible, so that they exposed to all sorts of attention, maybe sometimes unwanted attention or comments, what advice would you give them just so that they can feel more comfortable in themselves and happy despite the disability?
So they don't feel like they need to fit in, like we talked before.
Yeah, and I think the advice that I'm about to give you is applicable not just for disabled people, but for anybody who feels different in any way, which is a bit of a strange statement because I think we're all unique and we're all different. But, for me, our uniqueness, whether it's a disability, whether it's your gender, your sexual orientation, anything, for me, I actually see that as your unique selling point. And to use myself as an example, I feel like as a speaker, I sometimes, and I think I've touched on this already, I get more attention, and some people see me as more credible, and people associate a lot of good things with me. Not necessarily because I'm the best speaker in the world. I mean, I think I'm pretty good. But, I think I also get an additional attention. And it's almost like free marketing, right? You're an entrepreneur and you're trying to stand up from the market. You're trying to differentiate yourself from other people. So having a disability or having any sort of unique attribute is actually, you can actually reframe that into a positive and use that to stand out from everybody else who's around you. So, for anybody watching it who thinks, but this is my limitation or this is why I'm different, then overturn that difference and make it into your unique selling point.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we're running out of the time for tonight. Hello, Sandra. I just saw your time up. Thank you so much for joining us.
If any of you want have more questions and comments, please do comment, and we'll make sure we'll get back to you and answer even when we on replay. So yes, we make sure Winston will reply.
Thank you so much, Winston, for joining us this evening. So have a joyful rest of the evening, and we shall talk again on some time in the future. So thank you.
Thank you so
much
for having me on your show once again.
Thank you. And for everyone watching us still live, well, thank you so much for Sandra says he stands out. Yes, he does. He does stands out, but so do we, all of us. Every person is unique and different and stands out in a different way. That is, if we can actually find that uniqueness or accept this uniqueness.
Because we're all different. Doesn't matter if it's more physical or personal or mental. So we're all unique, and that's the beauty. That's the beauty of life.
We would like to invite you once again to finish up this episode, to listen to more music, and join us next Sunday for yet another talk with another guest who is on fire with the inner fire. And hopefully these messages and these stories of the people we bring to you will inspire you and people you may know to to find the love, to find the self-acceptance, and to look inside for that happiness that we all crave for. Almost it's in us, and it's up to us. And as Winston said, the any limitation we may have is really an illusion, and it's up to us whether we carry on with it or not.
And you can watch us today at the same on YouTube, Inner Fire Time TV, on Facebook and Periscope as well.
Subscribe as well and like us on Facebook so we can let you know about the new videos and everything else that we post. And it's all to spread the awareness of the importance of connecting with yourself and also with others. So we are in this life together to live, to elevate ourselves and people around us. Very good night from us to you. Kisses, hearts, as always. Enjoy the music, and we will see you again
next Sunday.
Next Sunday.
All it takes is just a little bit. Funnily enough, a little bit of love. Oh yeah, it just takes a little bit. Well, you can fly 1,000,000 miles and meet a dead end, and the hope of life devoured in a second, yeah. Waking up, the pain, you keep falling in to disarray, and suddenly the room feels so cold.